Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unity in Music podcast. We're going to be doing this as a monthly thing coming out towards the end of every month, and we'll be discussing various topics about music, live performance, studio performance, and everything in between. I've got with me Mr. Simon Goldsmith.
Hello there. I'm new to all of this, but some of you might recognise me. Well, you won't recognise me.
No, not really.
All being well, as a local low-budget Elvis tribute act, Harry Isaac Presley, and I'm here to learn and learn more.
And of course, we have a special guest with us this month, Mr. Carl Scott.
Hello there. Just trying to do Simon's hello there. And I don't do Elvis songs, but
Here we go. Thank you very much.
But I do elephant songs.
Elephant songs.
With my band Elephant in the Room. Yes.
Great thing about elephant songs, never forget them. Should we just get on with it?
Shall we?
Right. I feel like I've shamed myself already, and
You've been doing that for years, Harley.
we're not even 3 minutes in.
Yeah,
Great.
literally got nothing to lose.
No. We can start at the bottom, work our way up.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking today all about open mic nights and maybe a little bit about jam sessions as well. They've sort of come into being particularly popular over the last, would you say, 5 years?
That's what I've noticed, yes.
And we're going to be talking all about them, basically. You were saying earlier, as we were setting up, that they never, when you were younger,
When I were a lad,
they weren't really about. They're a fairly new thing.
well, they either didn't exist or
You never
nobody
got
told
invited.
me about them.
Nobody
Don't
wanted
tell Carl,
you there.
Don't tell Carl. No. Yeah, so I am older than you gentlemen, and we were just saying really that when I first started out, what you had to do, being a band that did originals, you had to write songs, record songs, get them onto a cassette tape, and then put them in the palms of a venue or a pub or whatever and beg for gigs. And that was the way you had to do it. And more recently, when I started seeing open mics cropping up, I just thought, wow, it's just something that seemed really odd, because music's existed for ages, but that format hasn't, that forum hasn't.
I can imagine from when they didn't happen to when they sort of came to be, it's a stupidly simple thing.
Yeah.
Because everyone plays, or say everyone, there's so many people who play a little bit of guitar and then writes the odd song, or just really likes playing that song that they've always wanted to play.
Yeah.
And to give you an audience to do it without having to go through the trouble of, like you say, doing all that, just to, let off a bit of steam and sing a song or two, which is great.
And also, it's hugely advantageous if you're just starting out songwriting and you've got just 2 songs, or one even, just to be able to go somewhere and play that one number. Yeah. And sometimes less is more anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we were saying earlier that when I first started writing, because although I'm very, very old, I've only been writing for about the last 5 years. And when I was asked to play a gig, because somebody had heard my one song on iTunes, it enabled me to go out, and that's how I really got kind of started in the music scene locally. It enabled me to go out with my mate and just do 2 or 3 songs. And the great thing is, for people starting out, and particularly youngsters starting out, when I first started playing, there didn't exist a forum whereby, as you say, you can be 15 years of age and have 2 or 3 songs, or get together with your mates and just get out there and play. There's an audience there, and an appreciative audience as well.
Right, yeah.
There's a side to performance, or there's a side to music that you can't learn at home in your bedroom. The stage craft and sometimes the timing of your song can change on stage, because you got to feel it from the audience. And like you say, it's a good sort of dipping your toe in the water of not having to sort of jump right in at the deep end. And
of course it's the polar opposite, isn't it, of posting a video of yourself on YouTube online, which of course is vastly popular as well, isn't it? But You don't get anything back, well, apart from obviously the usual trolling.
Yeah.
Well, and the fan mail.
Yes, and that.
But I remember that the first open mics I went to, this was probably about 10 years ago, and this was before I started writing. There was a guy that I was working with at the time, and we went out and we just started doing some covers and what have you. And we went to an open mic, and it was in Suffolk, this little country pub, and we went and joined in with this thing, and it was a monthly thing, and it was a phenomenon as far as I was concerned. But the thing that struck me was the first one I went to, there was a brother and sister there, and I think they were something like 11 and 13. And they weren't great. Of course they weren't great, but they were having a go. And I just thought, what an amazing... And they only did one song, But the idea, as you say, less is more. A maximum of 3 songs kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because if it is something like that, you don't necessarily want to hear half an hour of it.
Yeah.
But, they may be doing great things now. They may not. But at least it gave them an audience and a level of confidence, and it was a great thing as far as I was concerned.
One of the open mics I've been to that I think is particularly good at that was when Lucy Sampson used to do hers at Framlingham. And I think that's where we met, actually.
Yeah, we did.
And I used to go along every month, and it's quite funny because one time it was you on your own, and then Fern sort of, and then Sam, and you sort of were collecting musicians as you went, And now you have...
And this is how the current lineup
formed.
Yeah,
and that was 2 years ago.
Wonderful.
Well, over 2 years ago.
And now you have Elephant in the Room.
Sorry, Stella wasn't going to talk.
I should have bought the elephant head.
Just put it on the lampshade with glowing eyes.
That was a great open mic, and there have been some fantastic ones around, and I got involved prior to going along to that. I started one because I thought at the time there wasn't anything going on, there wasn't so much going on, or I wasn't aware of that one. And I started one at a pub that's now closed. I don't think I closed the pub.
Which one is that, out of interest?
The Railway.
Oh,
right.
I don't know if it's reopened, but anyway.
In Framlingham?
No, in Ipswich.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a gig venue, and we put one on there, and we had a great time there. And then I subsequently did one at the John Peel Centre in Stowmarket, which I had to stop because of business commitments. But again, it was just trying to do something to help people.
It is a lot of work.
Getting out there.
It is a lot of work putting on an open mic.
Yes.
I mean, I've done stuff with Suffolk songwriters. Mostly, I'm just the guy that works the desk doing the sound, but I still have a responsibility to try and get people along. And it's one night a week. One night a week, one night a month, or one night every fortnight. Everyone seems to do different times, but even for one night, you've got to get your gear because you probably have to take a PA system. If you're hosting it, you've got to make sure you've got some songs, and you don't want to play the same songs every month. You want to keep it sort of rotating around. So there is a lot of work that goes into such a sort of casual night, and people don't often see that side of things until they do it. And I know a lot of musicians that do go on to run a open mic night, and then they sort of appreciate what goes into it.
I think that 2 that we were talking about earlier that are run really well is Stephen Lay and Charlie Law. Both run open mic nights, and they seem to orchestrate it really well, because you don't know who's going to turn up, you don't know what they're going to play, and yet there seems to be an ability with those guys to sort of create an evening and put an evening together that invariably ends in a jam or whatever. Certainly Charlie's usually end in a jam. And it's great because you just don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and that is quite the magic of open mics. Is, you go along and you can find some of your favourite local bands. Having never heard these people before, they just happen to have a night off from work where they don't usually get, and go, let's go along to, say, the Railway, or, and then you found, not only have you found some music, but you can also make friends. Like, say, you can meet new band members. It's a really good networking tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
just for meeting
Yeah.
new musicians.
Yeah, and what I also found the first one I went to was the Swan in Ipswich, and when I was looking to get out and play, I think I just looked on Facebook and did a bit of a search around, and then I kind of posted on there, where is this, when is it, kind of thing, and there were just messages from people, and I remember Misha Pearson was running it, and Dan Story was involved, and John Samuels was involved, and they were all messaging me, kind of going, yeah, come down, and when I got there, people were expecting me, and there was a welcome, and you just think, well. And that's a great thing about musicians and the way that they are. And then I know, having run my own, then you always try and introduce people to people so that they feel welcome. And I've met some, fantastic friends.
I think that's
through that.
That is a good open mic night when it's a family or you're playing amongst friends.
Yeah.
And I always believe, though, that playing songs in front of friends is always more nerve-wracking than it is in front of strangers. But then those kind of things, not so much, because everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah.
And like you say, you can have a chat with them afterwards, and you find friends that you want to go to gigs with, or maybe like they say, I'm putting on a gig up the road in a couple of weeks' time. Do you want a support slot?
Yeah.
And, it's a really good way to get gigs.
There's a lot of kind of mutual benefits come out.
Oh,
of it.
definitely, yeah.
When you run these things on your own, speaking as a bit of a layman with it, do you go into these nights and there's no team involved, it is just you, I assume, is it, to begin with? Or once these friendships get going, do you then find you've almost got a team that kind of form?
Yeah,
and
I think
obviously
so.
Technically you'll need a bit of a hand, won't you?
Often, like, I find with ones, like you say, when you have that real sort of community, you'll have one guy that goes, I only live up the road, so he comes up rather than 8 o'clock when it starts, he'll come along at 7 and help set up the PA.
Your car
and,
so you do get that kind of thing, I think.
There's a sense of mucking in. And there's a camaraderie about it as well.
Yeah.
And you form friendships, relationships, bands, all sorts of things.
And usually, even if it finishes at 11, you're still there talking till midnight, because suddenly the music stopped and you can catch up, and you find conversations about everything, usually music.
It's far too late for me, though.
Oh, you're extremely old.
Extremely old.
Okay, well, I'm still getting there. Now, there was a article circling around online probably a couple of years ago, saying how open mic nights are killing live music. Now, I'm not going to say that is right or that is wrong, but
we're all contentious.
It sounds like a contradiction in terms anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah. Their point was that you're putting on your pubs are now, rather than paying for a full band to play on the weekends or whatever, they're getting one guy that will take 50 quid to run an open mic night. Some do it for free, but we'll do it for a lot less, and then paying the entertainment nothing. I know, but I've never been to one, but I know there are some open mics that if you perform you get a drink or something like that. But the idea is that then they're getting free entertainment, but then you're still making the pub the money. And then the pubs are going, well, why are we paying somebody else this much to bring a night of entertainment? Why don't we just do this more? And that it kind of devalues live music. I don't know if you guys agree with that, or whether that's... But I thought it was quite an interesting thing to take. Subsequently, the website that did bring that article up only 12 hours later brought up another article saying why open mic nights are great for live music.
Okay.
And
balance.
Oh yeah, yes. And it would basically went, but it is kind of good.
Did they run a political party as well?
I can't remember the website. Gigsandbands.com.
www.uturn.com.
Yeah. But, yes.
I think it's a real difficult one, and I don't...
Always gets complicated when money's involved to a point.
I don't know, because there are people who have really strong opinions on it, and I guess I don't. And the thing is, as I've said, when I was younger, there wasn't a forum to get out there and start playing.
Yeah.
So maybe the next big thing wouldn't get discovered. And
Yeah.
maybe they will do through this. So, as Simon said, it's almost a contradiction, because actually it's all about live music, and it's not about one band on for the evening. It's about 15 different acts. So actually, there's an entertainment to that, and what have you. Yes, you get varying standards, but then there is that. You never know what you're going to get.
But if they are bad, it's only going to be 10 minutes before someone else comes on.
Yeah, and I think if there were only open mics and there was no opportunities for anybody else to be getting a gig, then maybe. But I think there are plenty of places that still have bands playing, and that
I certainly
don't
haven't had
have
less
an open-
gigs.
No,
And I've never been turned down for the reason,
no.
it's right, we do an open mic night.
Well, I think there's a lot of places. There's the Bull in Colchester. They have live music 6 nights a week, one of which is an open mic. And they've got 2 venues in there.
Yeah.
So
Friday nights they often have.
it's not as if there may be some publicans that think, hang on, I can get cheap entertainment here and all the rest of it. There may be, but they probably weren't going to put great gigs on anyway.
No.
Exactly.
So
You're right.
I don't
you
know.
can see how it can be viewed as being exploitative, but at the end of the day, I think you're not going to pay the 15 individual musicians that are doing a song each.
No.
Equally, you're not going to pay a guy to run a desk the same amount that you're going to pay a band that have practiced for months. On
Exactly.
air.
Yeah.
So. And
it's different entertainment, isn't it?
I don't think a pub that just run open mic nights are going to get the same sort of business.
One thing, I mean, when there was an open mic night that I was running a little while ago, and we were looking for the right venue to do it, the right venue to start it, and we really wanted to find a place that already does music on the weekends, or that has live artists at other times. Because if it's already a music venue, people who like music will see the poster and go, oh, let's go there. But also, so then the pubs can go, oh, we want some bands, or we want some artists to do some slots on a Sunday afternoon. All they have to do is go to an open mic night, and they've got 15, 20 people going, right, okay, they're good.
Well, it's
we'll
talent scouting, isn't it?
It's a really easy way to go to listen to loads of music without having to straight through the internet for hours.
Yeah, and I know I've played gigs. I know just that we've played gigs where we first played there at an open mic. So they get to hit, venues get to hit people. So my opinion is it is a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's killing live music. It is live music. Is it killing bands' ability to get gigs? Well, as you said, you haven't had less gigs since open mics have come up.
No.
So
I think if anything, they reinvigorate. I think a little bit of interest in
Yeah, I mean,
bands.
One thing I think I did write it down in the intro that I never read, but I in my mind, open mics have become a lot more popular since you get artists like Ed Sheeran that's come to fame. Because he's kind of brought back the one man and his guitar, and his story is that he went and did gigs on the street and busked and did open mic nights for every night that he had an hour free. And
wouldn't it have been nice if he started at Lucy's open mic in Frown?
It would have been nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. It would have been good.
Yeah.
But I do you think I think that's a big player in it. That the open mic. The singer-songwriter thing has come really popular. I say again, I think it tends to go in waves, and it's now on an up at the moment. And
and I think we just mentioning Ed Sheeran there, and we were talking about David Gray earlier, and it comes in waves where everyone wants to be like David Gray. Now everyone's wanting to be Ed Sheeran.
Was that really the case with David Gray? Of everyone?
According to the guy I was talking about,
Who was that?
The guy called Dan Donnelly.
Okay, and he did a song called David Gray.
David Gray, about singer-songwriters all wanting to be like David Gray.
Oh, we'll have to find a link for that. We'll put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely going to be listening to that when I get home.
It's a great
song.
Yeah. So, that's cool. Next thing. We're running out of things.
Check your notes, Harley.
Yes, okay. Well, we've got one last thing here.
I didn't know you could write.
I can't.
Oh, okay.
He's got an app.
No, I just recognise the shapes. I can't read either. Yeah. So I got on here like jam sessions. Now, you were saying earlier you're not much of a jammer.
I'm not a jammer at all because, and you corrected me and said, yes, you are, because I get up and play with you.
Yeah, well,
you get up and play with me. I can't get up and play with you.
For the record, I am invited. I don't just run up and get
Who's that guy on bass?
tackled down by the bouncer.
Usually even in the building at the time it starts.
Yeah, fly in by jet.
I think there are some very good people around, and my talents are limited in as much as I do what I do, and we often get commented on as a band that we're very tight and we're very precise and professional sounding and all the rest of it. And it's only because we practice it.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those people that can get up with a bunch of musicians and go, yeah, you're kind of doing the right. I'm in the groove. And I can't do that. But as you rightly say, you've jammed with me because you can do that.
Yeah.
And, you can get up and I sort of say, well, this song's in the key of H minus and off you go.
Yeah. My first gig, I always say this, my first gig was actually a jam. I'd say first gig. The first time I played in front of an audience was at a jam session when I was probably about 12.
Did you play any of the same notes as anyone else?
Yeah.
Did you?
Well, basically,
it's not in the same order.
I did. Well, I think I did. I'm sure if you spoke to everyone that was there that night, it might be a different story.
Yeah.
But because I remember when I must have been 12 years old, and I went to my guitar teacher, Mark Stewart, and I said, I want to play this song. He goes, what's it called? I don't know. Sing it to me. And I went, and he went, Johnny Be Good. I was like, yeah.
Oh, everyone did that as their first song.
Yeah. And I was like, cool. And it was the first time I soloed, and he was like, soloing's really easy. You've just got to know these 5 notes and some other ones in between, but we'll work on that one later. And then just make sure you're playing to the right chords. And I was like, oh, brilliant. So I went to a jam night, and I think I watched a couple of times, and then eventually went, can I play? I was Oliver Twist.
This was after your voice had broken.
Yes, it was. And they went, yeah, sure, come on. And, they all huddled around because I was the weak link. They said, what do you know? I went, Johnny Be Good. And they were like, cool, right, what key? What are you doing? That note there. Cool, right. 1, 2, 3. And I was away, and
I did get up and jam in New Orleans there was a blues band playing when I was over there, and I didn't know, but the colleagues, I was there on business, and the colleagues that I was with had gone up to this band and told them I was a well-known bass player in England, and we were all drunk, and next thing I knew, I got called up on stage. And they said, what do you want to play? And I just thought of the only thing that I could possibly do drunk was Johnny Be Good.
Yeah.
So, but yes, and as a bass player doing Johnny Be Good, it's not that difficult.
No.
So,
you both got Johnny Be Good in common.
Yes. Yeah.
So I did jam.
I did find out it's a lot harder to play when it's far too fast. If you're trying to do the walking bass line, it gets very Dr. Feelgood very quickly. Americans love English musicians.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Tony Shevlin, I mean, he's doing really well in America, but his
sister gave me singing lessons.
Did she?
Yeah, she's the responsible one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Jules.
Her to blame. But he was saying to me how you can you can get so much further because if you're an English person who's come to America to go to an open mic night, they want to hear what you got to say because you've come from this faraway land with rain and a queen. I mean, we're all going to sing various sort of monarchistic.
Should we go and do a road trip then?
Let's do a road trip.
I learned to jam on the way over.
Yes. Let's just work it out. It's a long enough flight. We can learn some songs on the flight. Yeah, let's do
How's an Elvis tribute act going to go down in America?
Oh.
You could get stoned to death.
It completely depends. That can happen in England.
You sound like you speak with experience.
In the wrong place. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you've only got to listen to an Elvis tribute doing a Rage Against the Machine number in front of anyone over the age of 45 or 50, especially if they're female, and Elvis fans, and yeah, you can get stoned with their eyes. It does happen. Equally, you can try out Elvis numbers all night in front of 20-year-olds, and yeah, see ya.
I'm looking forward to. I'm playing Rage Against the Machine this weekend because we're recording before Christmas, by the way. But
decorations.
We were like, we need some Christmas.
I don't always have these in my house.
Yeah, you're a strangely festive man all year. Oh, Merry Christmas. Yeah, but Christmas. We're looking forward to be doing. We're like, what Christmas songs do we know?
Oh.
Rage Against the Machine, Killing the Name Off. It was Christmas #1. It's a Christmas film. It's in the set.
Excellent. Sorry,
that's the best cop out.
#1.
Yeah, that's the best cop out you can get for something Christmassy. Okay, it's that or the Die Hard theme tune, but I don't know it.
Fairy Tale of New York. That's the best Christmas song ever.
Unless you work in a pub that has a selection of people, especially the day drinkers, who love that song as much as I did when I first started working there. And then through time, after about 3 shifts, you've heard that song 20 times. And it got old for me.
You clearly haven't heard the Elephant in the Room version.
I really want to hear the Elephant in the Room version. Have you done one?
Yeah.
Is it going to be released, or is it just a live thing?
No, that's a live thing, because it's never the same twice.
Fair
My
enough.
fault, not Fern's.
Should have known.
She's very good.
We wanted to do a Christmas song for Unity this year, but we haven't quite got it together in time. Next year. We'll get it to next year.
Right.
Cool. We have to do it now. It's on tape, so you can't get out of it now. Apart from leaving the country, which, if you time this world tour quite right, you could get away with it.
We'll try that. We could have done it tonight if the rest of the band weren't off to see Star Wars.
Of course, yes, it is Star Wars, not tonight. Yes, that's where I'm going. I'm packing away. I'm going to see Star Wars. I'm
geek. I mean, have fun. I mean,
I might just watch The Empire Strikes Back when I get home.
Yeah,
on a VHS.
Top loader. Are we digressing?
We have.
You were talking about jam nights, weren't you?
Right. Yes.
Again, going back to my absolute inexperience with these sort of evening, jam nights were around, weren't they?
They've always.
Yes.
When I was slightly younger than you were, when going back years, are jam nights are they markedly different? I mean, is it more about virtuosity on an instrument as opposed to
it can
songs?
be. I feel sometimes you go to the wrong jam, or the right jam if that's the sort of thing you want to do. But then you'll get those people who will go up and go, yeah, okay, we'll do the thing, and as soon as a singer stops doing his thing, if there is a singer, then the solo starts.
And doesn't end.
And it doesn't end.
Right.
I remember going to a jam session, one of Webby's jams, back at the Milestone, and there was this guy, and he was an incredible guitarist, really good. And he started playing, I was like, man, this guy's awesome. And he was literally playing for 10 minutes. And I think it might have been Mr. Ben Diffley on drums that night. And it got to a point where everyone was like, oh, come on. And Ben just threw his sticks down and walked off.
Right, okay.
Doesn't sound like Ben at all.
No, this was even before I knew him. Before, yeah. So,
I love it.
It's good to know he's always been like that. If anyone wants to know Mr. Ben Diffley, you'll have to go to a Remedy gig or some other gig he's been playing at and meet him. Otherwise, you can look on our Unity in Music videos that we did, our first lot of videos he was playing on.
Nice plug for Ben.
Yeah, I feel we've done him some justice after we've
after some injustice.
after we've pointed out his particular attitude.
But never jam with him for longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It could
As
end.
a lead guitarist.
Yeah, have a break around 9:50. You're fine.
I went to a jam night in Bury St Edmunds a couple of years ago, and I went along. Not knowing what to expect. I'd been invited along, and they I don't know if they still do it, but they did this brilliant jam night and some incredible musicians there. And I was invited along by Mike Orange, I think, and I said, but I don't jam. And he said, no, come and we'll jam with you. And James Morgan and I went along, and he said the same thing. Although he's far better than I am on the guitar and able to jam, but and they just got us up and said, "We'll just play one of your songs," and they just built a band around us. And then I found out afterwards I've been playing with Sheryl Crow's drummer apparently. So yeah,
Suffolk does have some great musicians that have like done a lot of good things, but
I'm not one of them, by the way.
yet. But yeah, like I mean, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head now, but I remember doing a gig with someone, and that's it. Yeah, doing a gig with Mars Harley. Yeah, no, with a band that I played with a little while called Mars Harley. No connection to the name. He was a band that I played with Ben Diffley actually, and
I remember. I always thought Harley came from you.
Yeah, no, it was from
made that mistake as well.
Yes, yeah. It came from the singer whose name's Tim.
Oh, obviously. Simon, why didn't you
Tim
explain
Mars.
that?
No, I can't even remember his last name. It'll be in the comments. Hi, Tim. But basically the band sort of stopped for a bit and started up, but in the meantime he'd met a load of other musicians and got a guitarist in, and Scottish guy got chatting, and he was saying about this. Oh, cool, yeah, awesome. And he said, yeah, from and I was like, what the band used to play with? Oh, Texas. I was like, oh, right, awesome. And I was like, why Suffolk? And it was almost as if they tend to sort of gravitate towards Suffolk. I know a lot of people who've lived elsewhere moved to Suffolk, and having lived there, I don't get it.
I used to live around the corner from Bill Wyman.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Did you sort of listen to him from afar and go, that's what I want to play? Is that how you got into bass?
His house was far too big to be able to hear him while he was playing. Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah. I was at the gate with the Rottweilers keeping me out. Yeah. Until the injunction was lifted.
Of course. Yeah. Moved house by then. Well, I think we've covered most things, haven't we? Of any other points we want to talk? Any questions that we might have?
I was just going to ask about the varying standards that you alluded to earlier.
Right. Yes.
Of open mic nights, and whether people that perhaps, I'm thinking of myself to an extent, because I do write songs and play very, very basic acoustic guitar, and I think if I thought about coming to an open mic night where I knew someone like Carl Scott was playing, or anybody of that calibre, I might think twice about, from my own point of view, I might think, I don't know, sounds like fun, but
that's not the point we were making earlier. That's not the vibe. I totally get what you're saying.
I know a lot of,
but you would very easily feel, no, they're going to let me do this, and actually, and you'll have people that you think, wow, they're really good, and they're applauding you and listening to you.
That's what
that's what didn't exist when I was younger, and that's the great thing about it. I think
something like, I feel this is where jam sessions differ sometimes. There was one guy I knew, again, name gone, but I knew him from open mic nights.
Bruno.
Yeah. No, I knew him from open mic nights, and he very good singer-songwriter, does all sorts of stuff. Never seen him playing with a band, but he turned up to the jam night one time. He's like, it was before we started, and I kind of felt really bad actually, because he said, what do I do? And I was like, right, just chuck your name on the list, write it down. We're going to do a couple of songs with the house band to start up, and then we'll just start calling names off the list and make a band. And he's like, oh, brilliant, sounds awesome, can't wait. And we did a few a few songs, shall I say, to start up at the beginning, and finished, and I'm going to get some people around, and he wasn't called up first, but I went and saw him. I said, are you up for it? He's like, nah. I was like, why not? It's like, I've seen what you guys do, I can't match that. And I was like, yeah, but with a house band we do this every week. It's not even a jam anymore. It does kind of get like that sometimes, because you're playing with the same house band. I was like, it's not like that. You're more than we take all abilities, and he kind of lost his confidence a bit from seeing us. And I felt really bad about that, and so now I play worse with the house band. No.
But you can't do anything about that, can you? And
no.
I completely get where you're coming from, but at some point, if the difference between you coming along and going and being really nervous but just doing it, and the people that don't do it, it's just there must be thousands of people that just wouldn't do it, that will sit in their bedroom and will never venture out. But the point is, you do have a forum available to you where you will be encouraged and people will say nice things to you. And actually, and I know because I've done it, people listen to you and they go, "Oh, that was really good, mate," and you think, "Oh, that was really good."
Yeah, and then you kick on from there.
Yeah. And I've seen people grow. Sorry, and I think I have as well. I've grown in terms of confidence of doing what you're doing, and
you learn the stagecraft.
Yeah.
Well, I do think as well, possibly with stuff like open mic nights, like someone goes for the first time and is a little bit nervous and sees someone that's really good and going, how am I going to follow that? And then they're going to see someone who's not as good, not necessarily bad, just in comparison nowhere near what this guy was, but is somebody that's just making a bit of music, and they go, okay, well, there's a scale. It's not like everyone's going to be good and I'm going to be down there. You realise that there's a scale, and if you can make it onto that scale, then you're a performer. Even if you're at the bottom, you're still a musician, and that gets so much respect in those circles of you're doing it.
And I think the thing is, it made a massive difference to me, because I found a number of people that I met and saw doing open mics that then became role models. And the biggest one for me was John Hart. Sorry, John, embarrass you. But when I saw him playing, I thought, I want to play like that. He'd got stage presence, all those sorts of things. And
he's really comfortable, isn't he?
Yeah.
On stage.
And I'll never be the guitarist that he is, but it just inspires you and other people to just do it,
Yeah, you pick up a lot of things you can do at open mic nights in terms of like sort of stage thing, like when someone goes up on stage and they do something or say something, even if it's not intentional, you think, oh, that really broke a barrier between them and the crowd. I might remember that at a gig, and
there's another aspect to it as well that, and I won't name names, but there are a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are, in inverted commas, musicians, and along with that goes a lot of anxieties and stuff like that. And I know quite a few people that have got anxieties and then shrink into themselves sometimes, and I can't get out there and play, and I can't do that. And actually, I know a number of people that we've encouraged, come along, and that did do it, and then said, oh, I'm going through a patch where I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And actually, getting back to what Harley was saying earlier about this group of friends, this network of people that will encourage you, and you can get up and play a song, and actually you've got people rooting for you, and I know that a lot of people that have grown personally as well as musically, because there's a camaraderie and an encouragement, and actually it might even be a false confidence, but you got this sort of shove from the back of you can do it, and I think that's helped a lot of people.
And it's a great thing. I think it's a target as well, isn't it? Also, if you're just doing one or two numbers, and you just usually play in your bedroom at home, you've got something like that to aim at.
Absolutely.
It's a great thing. It's almost like a gig to look forward to. It's not 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's it.
The other thing that we haven't touched on as well is that as a songwriter, when you're writing new songs, it's the best forum to try to road test new songs, rather than getting up there and just you've got this one shot in front of a gig that you're being paid to do and what have you, and I know that's how I've written all my songs since I've been going to open mic, so that's how we put new songs out there, and then you chop and change them around.
People aren't afraid to give criticism to your songs, but never have I had anyone gone, it was a bit shit.
No,
people go, it's great, maybe I like what you did with that, or I preferred this song to this song, and I always feel that criticism is always welcome and it's always welcomed. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go to an open mic night and slag someone off, but that sort of, I think that's part of, like you say, the friendship is, people are honest, but in the most nicest way.
There is a guy who will remain nameless, who I'm very good friends with, that when he first heard one of my songs, he said, I don't like that song. And I was quite happy for him to say that. And I said, why not? And because it's in an obscure tuning, and he comes from more of a school, certainly then, of standard songwriting, shall I say, and he just didn't get it. He said that he thought it was contrived. And I said, but how? And because the thing was, I didn't know what chords I was playing because it was in this weird tuning. I just put my fingers where they kind of sounded good and wrote this song around it. And now he really likes the song, which I remind him of every time he hears us play it.
I think we're going to do a whole podcast just on criticism because there is a lot to be said about it.
Do you think you should do that? See what I did there?
That's an awful idea.
That's a really... I mean, Harley's had some good ideas, but that's one of the worst.
Not one of them. Well, I wouldn't
Those who are listening won't get that laugh.
We could just do a whole podcast without Harley, criticising Harley, couldn't we?
There'd be a lot of people would watch that.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about the time he turned up with a flat battery in his camera. Couldn't we?
No, we could. And the recorder.
And the recorder and an SD card that didn't work.
Yeah,
we could talk about that. But we won't talk about that.
We won't, no. I mean, we won't, no.
No.
But I always say, that, like, because there's so much thing about criticism, because there will people who will like and won't like your stuff, and it's how do you tell them? Also,
well, I mean, crikey, you can not like your own song sometimes, can't you?
Yeah.
Through phases of that.
There was one guy who, I think it was at a jam session. I don't know which one it was, but he after the jam, or between, when he played and was chatting to one of the guys, one of the other jammers, and he goes, what do you think of my playing? Which is a question which you want an answer for. And the other guy went, if I'm honest, I'm not a fan of the way you play. It's a little bit ratty. It's not really the sort of. It's not my kind of thing. It's it's a bit,
like the way he went into detail.
Yeah.
Could have gone. It was good.
Well, this is the thing. He went. It's a little bit ratty. Not a fan. And he never spoke to him again. The guy and I was like, well, why did you ask him then? If you asked him and you only wanted one answer, what was the point? And the camera's off.
Is it off or a warning?
I think.
It's a warning.
Is it a warning? Okay,
probably a warning.
I guess we should probably wrap it there. Then.
We should.
Just had a warning.
We've just been told off.
The camera's telling us.
We've just been told off by the GoPro. So we need to wrap up now.
It might be recording still. Might not.
Is it red
Is there
flashing?
a light on?
Full. Oh, SD card's run out. Wow, that was quick. Oh well. For those who are watching on YouTube, we're
not recording.
No. So we'll finish it off.
Oh,
we're
yes.
near enough. This is the end.
We've got audio still.
Yeah, we'll fade it out and
Yeah.
roll the credits or something.
Yeah. Over this bit, should we have some pictures of snowmen and
Some snowmen.
Santa?
And an ornate jug of water being poured.
Yes, we'll get some
Do
photos
you want
afterwards.
to take a photo of the jug?
Yes,
Yeah.
let's do that.
That was the jug rattling.
What we can always do as well is if we swap the cards around, and then we'll get the video and we can have you sing us out with one of your songs if you'd like, Carl.
No,
That's
really no.
Would you?
I like playing as a three-piece.
Okay then.
Okay.
What we'll do? Okay then. How about this? We were talking earlier about a song that you did with the earlier Unity and music sessions at the shop.
Yeah.
So to sing us out with that, we'll cut one of those videos and put that at the end. How's that sound?
That sounds
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So you guys are in for a treat. You're getting a brand new video from Unity and Music. I'm looking at the camera and it's not even on.
Harley exits stage left.
Sorry, we had this whole conversation about confidence, and then we go, no, I don't want to play. No, the weird thing is that when I started going to open mics, I started playing on my own, and I did a bit with a mate of mine, and so I did them on my own, mostly, and then Fern and I started playing together, and then Sam joined us, and now I kind of don't like going to open
Yeah.
mics on my own because I'm hearing the parts that aren't there. So I just think the song's empty.
And it's like the equivalent of listening to someone sing along to a song that they're listening to in headphones. Yeah. You're worried that they're only getting one part of it, and they are only getting the one part.
Yeah.
But
I miss my band. They've gone to see Star Wars.
It's a tricky thing, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm terrified of playing on my own. I'm used to being next to a drummer that's loud and hits things hard, and when I'm the loudest thing on stage, it's weird. So, unless I'm plugged into an amp next to a drummer, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But, yes. well, okay, so we'll do that. Well, thank you everyone for listening to our first podcast. We will be back next month, I believe. I'm not going to name our guests just in case we don't get them on and we have to swap it around.
You're still waiting to hear from Ed Sheeran's people.
Yeah, okay. But we're not going to say that yet. But it will probably be on the same date next month. Thank you for listening. Keep up with the Unity in music. Check out all our videos. Check out Elephant in the Room and check out the go on.
The Harry Isaac Presley operation. There's no videos on YouTube yet. I'm waiting for Harley to come and film one.
Okay. We'll make it happen. I've said it now. I have to.
Anyway, thanks, Carl.
Yes, there.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank
you, Harley.
No worries.
Thanks for having us.
Should we end with a bye all at the same time?
Okay. After 3?
Yep.
3.
Bye.
The other ones all turn to rust. They turn to rust. stones. The crown falls upon Peace throne. The only one in whom I trust. The other ones all turn to rust.